Welcome back, my favorite game developers. In this video we've created an exit door that allows us to move from level to level. So we have this door in here. When we get close it opens up and now we can move through it. We slow down time and then we are on the other side in the next level shooting our buildings. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we'll go and get our portal from the resources. So simply drag the portal into our game assets, import all of that, wait for it to import, and anytime now it should be inside of these test assets in here. It will be a sci-fi door, and in these sources simply drag the sci-fi door animation in here. Okay, great. So now we have this sci-fi door in here. We can go to the sci-fi door and we can extract the materials. You can extract them wherever you want. You can extract them inside of the materials. So select all of that. Very nice. Now the next thing we're going to do, we'll change the name in here to be simply the sci-fi door, or you can name it the portal or whatever you want. And let's go ahead and scale it up to 2 on all sides, so now it's big enough to be a door. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and actually unpack the prefab completely, and we'll go into the assets. Let's go in and change the material on it. So we've already done this a lot of times, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip past all of this. Okay, so I've skipped past all of this, so now we have the door in here, and we can maybe change the emission a bit or the albedo. So if we can make it a bit brighter, that would be just fine. So we're going to make this around 0.78. Let's hit play and let's just go take a look at our door and see how it looks. So where's our door? There it is. So there is our door. It currently doesn't do anything. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do is we'll go into our sci-fi door in here, and we're going to create an animator for it. So, and of course, before we do that, let's go into our assets and take our, test assets, which is the door, and let's put it inside of the game assets. And let's go ahead and get the animation window in here. So animation, and let's dock it next to the console, and let's get also our animator and let's keep it up there. So let's click on the sci-fi door, let's create animations, and let's create a new folder for the sci-fi door. And in here we're going to create our first animation, and it's going to be the open. So we're going to open the door. Great. Now back in our game, back in our scene, we'll see in here that we can actually go and find the actual open animation of our door. So if we go into our game assets, into our test assets in here, we can open the door. We can see the source. If we open up this, we can see that this door, if we hit play, it's actually the open animation. So let's go ahead and duplicate it. This will be the door open, and let's go ahead and add it into the animations of our door. So drag it in here. Now back in our sci-fi door, we don't need actually this, we don't need it. So in our animator in here, it's going to first of all be let's delete this, let's add the door open. So now we have this transition to door open, but what we actually want to do is we want to create an idle animation. So we'll go to the, the sci-fi door, and we're going to create a new clip, and we'll call this the idle. Save that, and it's just going to do what it actually does. So I just wanted to show you something in here, and whenever we have the default animation, we can actually change it. So we can right click in here and we can set it as the default layer state. So this way, whenever we start our game, it will be at the idle, and then we are going to go ahead and make a transition in here to the door open, and we're going to create a parameter for it, and we're going to make it a boolean, and it's going to be the opening we'll call it the opening, and if the opening is true, then we are going to open. But when it's false, let's right click and make the transition back. We are going to go ahead and close the door, keep it back to idle. So now let's drag the animator in here next to the animations and let's hit play. And I'm just going to go to the scene, and also we can do that. So when we stop, let's go to the scene, and when we hit the open, we can see that the door opens and then it closes and then it closes. So let's see what's the problem in here. If we go to our project, the idle is looping. Let's stop the looping on the idle and let's stop the looping in here. Let's see how that looks. Back in our game, go to, oops. So I keep forgetting that we should not hit the exit key. So now in our scenes, in our animator, if we start opening, the door opens and then it closes immediately because it goes back because of the exit time that we have. So let's remove the exit time in here, set the transition duration to 0, and in here also let's remove the exit time, set the transition duration to 0, save all of that, hit play again, and go to our scenes and let's see how that looks. So we are in idle. When we are opening, the door opens, and then when we stop opening, we didn't add the condition to go back. No worries about that. Make it false, hit play again, and now this should be working. So when we are opening, the door opens. When we want to close it, well, it kind of looks very weird. So you can see that whenever we stop, it closes immediately. We don't want that. We want it to go back. So all you need to do is you need to go to this transition, which transitions from the door open to the idle, and just add a bit of time in here, a bit of transition time. So let's make it around, let's see, maybe just like that. See how that looks. So it's about 0.25. Save that, hit play, and now in our scene, let's look at that. So when we open the door, it opens. When we close it, it closes. Very nice. Okay, with that done, next thing we need to do is we need to actually go ahead and create a script in here. So go to our scripts and we'll make these a bit smaller. We'll right click, we'll create a C# script that's going to be the portal door. Hit enter, wait for that. And now let's go ahead and add this to our sci-fi door in here. And we are going to start coding. But what are we actually going to do? Well, we are going to issue you a challenge. Actually, I'm going to issue you a challenge, and it's to set up the animation. So use the on-trigger enter to open the door when we enter a certain box collider, and to close the door, use the on-trigger exit. Now, we've never used this before, but you can go ahead and search for it. It's very simple, there's nothing to it. And finally, make sure that you check that we are colliding with a player and not just anything, because we don't want anything to be colliding with it and opening. With that said, pause the video right now and go do the challenge. Okay, welcome back. So the first thing we need to do in here is we need to create a box collider in here. So let's create that. We're going to move it a bit. So let's go ahead and adjust it. And what we want to do is we actually want our box collider to be in front of our door. So this will be the box collider of our door. So when our player enters the vicinity of the door, oops, where is the sci-fi door? So let's keep changing this. So when the player enters the vicinity of our door, the door will open. So let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger. So we want it to feel natural. So just add as much size as you possibly can to your box collider. So whenever the player enters this place in here, the door is going to open. Okay, great. Let's save that. Let's stop editing. Let's go back into our portal door. And in here, we are going to, of course, first of all, go ahead and create a reference to our animator. And it's going to be called my animator. And we are going to get the component. So my animator will be equal to get the component, which is the animator. And that should do it. The next thing we're going to do is we'll create an on-trigger enter in here. And we're going to check if the other .compare tag is the player. And if it is, we are going to simply get my animator and we're going to set the boolean to, what was it called? Let's go ahead and copy it. So animator, copy the opening, go back to our code, paste it in here and make sure that it's true. And then we are going to create an onTrigger exit and we're going to do the opposite. We are still going to check for the player, but the opening should be set to false. And let's save that and let's go ahead and test this out in Unity. So we need to make sure that the box collider is a trigger. Hit play and we'll keep the animator in here. So where is our portal door? Where is it? Where did we put it? Oh, so there it is. So we walk to it. It should open and then when we exit, it closes. Very nice. Now it opens, it closes, it opens, it closes. Excellent. Now the next thing is of course that we want to be transitioning from level to level whenever we actually go through the door. And for now the door, well, we can go through it, but we will add maybe a certain object or a building behind it so that the player can't actually, or whoever is playing your game can't actually see through it. So let's go ahead and add a game object on our door. So let's create an empty game object and let's put it up here in the hierarchy, and this will be our portal exit. And we are going to add also a box collider to it. And we are going to move it, we'll make it as big as the door. Actually, let's edit it a bit. So we'll make it as big as the door because this is what the player will be colliding with in order to go to the next level. So we need to make sure that whenever our player actually moves through this door, he will hit the collider and not just for some reason move past it. So we're going to expand it. So yep, just like that, maybe make it a bit thicker, but make sure that the player can't actually get to it from the other side, or that won't even be a problem if you hide it really nice. So with that done, hit save, make sure it's a trigger, and then we're going to go ahead and add a component in here, which is going to be the script. So we'll create a new C# script, which is going to be the portal exit, and okay, great. So it didn't open up on its own for the first time. So let's add the portal exit in here, the portal exit in here, and let's go ahead and open this up and see what we're going to do inside. So I think the start and the update won't be needed. We are going to be using the scene manager. So Unity engine.scene management. And in here we're going to create the onTrigger enter. And we're going to check if the other is a player. So compare tag to the player. This is all now basic things that we do. And in here, what we're going to do is we'll simply transition to the next level. So we're going to get the scene manager. Hey, scene manager, can you please load us a scene? And what scene do you want to load? Well, scene manager, can you please tell us what is the current active scene? So get the active scene and tell us the build index of it. Great, so now that we know that, let's go ahead and add one to that, and that's basically all that we're going to do. Let's save that. Back in our game, let's add the build index. So, nope, I didn't mean to do that. In our build settings, in here we have the level 2, the level 1 is not there. So let's add it. Let's move this up a bit. So we have the main menu. We want the playground in here. So what was even level 2? So the playground, and then we have the level 1, and finally we have the level 2. Let's save all of that. And let's see what was even level 1. So let's double click on level 1. Oh, okay, so level 1 was all of these buildings. The playground was our basic playground. The main menu is the main menu, and the level 2 is the level with O. So it's everything dark in here. Great, so let's save that. Let's hit play. And now, when we move to our door, hey door, so it opens up and we go through it, and then we transition to the next level. Really cool. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and just add a couple of things in here. So the first thing, we don't want it to be instantaneous. We actually want to have a coroutine in here. So if you feel up to the challenge, go ahead and create your own coroutine before I do. So we'll create a level exit delay, and in here we are going to yield return new wait for seconds, and let's just put it at 1F for now. We'll change it up later on. These semicolons should be outside. and now we're going to actually go ahead and use the scene manager to load, and instead in here we are going to start the coroutine, which is the level exit. Very nice. What we want to do is we actually want to start controlling the time scale of our game. Now, why do I want that? Well, because we're delaying the movement. Let me just show you what happens. If we hit play, we can see that when we move towards the door, it opens up, we move through it, and then it takes 1 second. But it's not very pleasing, you know, whenever you actually want to start transitioning, you want to delay everything. So what we're going to do is in here, we are actually going to access the time scale, and we're going to set the time scale to be 0.1F. So this way everything slows down. And then when we actually move through to the next level, we are going to set the time scale back to 1. So in here, we are going to go get the time scale, and we're going to set it back to 1F. So now what happens when we hit play? Everything slows down, hit play. Everything slows down when we transition. You can see that everything is in slow motion, but you've noticed maybe that now, it's very cool actually, but you may have noticed that we are not actually using 1 second to go to the next level. And that's because we are waiting for the seconds in Unity. Now, how can we change that? Well, we can use, instead of wait for seconds, we can use wait for seconds in real time. Save that, and now again let's demonstrate this. Hit play, and now when we go through the door, now you can keep it if you think it's really nice. Now when we move through the door, it will take 1 second to go to the next level. Really cool. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.